Good morning, good evening, depending upon what part of the world you're in. If it's Friday, it is the CEO series where we engage with visionaries, trailblazers at the helm of today's most innovative organizations. Today, we're honored to have Dr. Hajar, a titan in the IT industry, over 2 decades of transformative work in sustainability practices. She's the vice chair of the board of the United Nations Global Compact. Her leadership has been pivotal in steering companies and stakeholders towards a future that values both people and planet. So, with that, I welcome Dr. Hajar. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, for having me today. It's really a pleasure to share my thought and have this conversation with you. So thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for logging in from Zurich. For people that on the because she's in Zurich today, but she travels quite a bit. So we like to start the program off talking about your career journey. Starting from where you started from to how did you become Dr. Hajar at this level and the impact you're having across the globe at sustainability. So kind of walk us through that. Walk us through a short version of that.
Oh, yeah. So I was really fortunate to grow up in different countries, which gives me also this ability and agility for the change and also to integrate myself in different communities. And I started my university or background in law, which was the first battle I had with my father because he wanted me to have the same career as he do. But I was always fascinated by the future, the technology. So I've shifted my career to computer and science, and then started by Bell Canada in the strategy department. Um, where it was really a big school for me in terms of early transformation, proactivity, and so on and so forth. Then I moved in 2009 to Switzerland, and I started in the other biggest school, which is Swisscom, where I worked for 11 years in different positions. And it was a very interesting journey because I think I have done what I loved and what I was fascinated by. But what fascinated me most by Swisscom was also the client. So how we work, how we challenge, how we co-create with them, and also the teams together. During that journey, I was always looking very much into learning because it's a fast and furious market. The IT field is very high-speed market. So I was working to grow also in this field and to learn more. I did my other diploma in the University of Fribourg, and then got my EMBA from IMD. And at that time, I was performing with my team together, but getting at the same time in my comfort zone, which is a no-go for me. So
Okay.
I wanted to have a much more bigger challenge because for me, it's perhaps different than the others. When we say you are performing, you are doing well with your team, everything is good, for me is the time to go.
Mm.
Time
Okay.
to look for a new era.
Yeah.
So therefore, I had the opportunity to join Entity Data, which is one of the top three global player in the IT and consulting field. It's a Japanese holding, and I led it Switzerland and Liechtenstein for 2 years, which was really interesting. So for multinational or Fortune 500 headquartered in Switzerland, which allows me also to travel a lot um, and go to the Middle East at some point.
Wow.
So I was asked, or I had the offer to join a company which is headquartered in Riyadh, but also acting in Europe, USA, and it's Circular Economy Company as a CEO. Despite the job, the part of the job, and everything around, for me, it's not just about a career or a position. It was more about impact And therefore, I was, beside my job, acting as a lecturer in the American University of Applied Science, Geneva University, also in the Swiss Chamber of Commerce, so in the political, but also in the education level, because I think it's important for every leader, not just be in the box, in the company, but also have an impact outside.
Yeah. That's quite a story. With that, you said your father said do this, and you said maybe not, because
I
I think of so many friends, family, parents say do this, they do that, and they're bored for the rest of their lives because
Exactly.
they didn't pick up on what do I really want to do beyond that. So I find that as a good trait.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So, what was your the discussion like? Say, you know what? Let me try this.
That was a tough one.
I just have to that.
But at the same time, it's again getting out of my comfort zone and challenging the status quo, because I was passionate about the IT, the future, and for me, the international law or the law itself was boring at that time. However, I think it's a great foundation. And it was a great foundation for me, because in the corporate level, in the IT field, in the sustainability field, where I'm acting now, law is a part of that. And
Okay.
governance is a part of it. Risk management is a part of it. So
Okay.
I think it was a great foundation for me for the future. And now I'm really interested in, and I'm everything related to governance, to international law, to IT law, to ICT law. It's
Yeah.
something that I always deal with. So it
Yeah.
was a great battle.
This is why, to the audience, this is why she's at every major conference. We've worked together on conferences
Yeah,
twice already. This is why she's always brought in as an expert in those areas because of the footprint that you've had over the years. The other piece I wanted to walk into is that you mentioned that you were at a job and everything was cool, and they said "But everything is good," and you said time to go. That was a signal in doing that.
exactly.
How did it come about to say, because a lot of people would have stayed there 20 years, 25 years and got a watch for
Mhm.
retirement, bored for 19 years, but they're going through the motions.
Yeah.
How did it become a signal to drive it?
That's that's not me. I mean, for me, you can. There's three main point or major point in my career is to listen, to learn, and to act.
Mm,
And when I can't learn anymore, or I can't give, out of this comfort zone or out of this era where I am, for me, I need to move, because I'm passionate about what I'm doing. I need to create, I need to develop, I need to innovate. And you can never innovate or learn in a statu quo or in an area where you are overperforming or performing. So you need to get and to push yourself to a new challenge where you can learn, where you can have a challenge, and where you can also act with different expertise and skills. And that was for me very important, because everyone was telling me, Aja, are you crazy? And I was,
yeah,
no, I'm not. Even for the move after entity data to the Middle East and so on, it was, are you crazy? You're leaving everything, moving, traveling, and so on. But that's where we learn, that's where we impact, and that's where we are a part of a community that is transforming while performing. And that's what I need as a person or as a leader.
yeah. I want to highlight a good friend of mine, John Self, out of Texas. He states that so many unhappy people are trapped in their comfort zone, so much untapped potential lying in the
Exactly.
way.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in every change, there is a challenge, but this challenge you grow. With this challenge, you innovate. You know how to impact differently,
Hmm.
and you learn and get new skills. Other than that, you will be in your comfort zone, and with your skills, and you will not, get the soft skills that are very much needed at the moment in
Yeah.
every organization and company.
Mhm. I remember a point in my career where everything from the outside looked great. And I was a senior level leader, and I said, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And people were ready to call up the ambulance because they said, there's something wrong. Why would you leave this to do this? And I didn't have a job, but I knew but I look back on my career. If I would not have done that, I would not be in Dubai now,
Yeah,
next week in Brussels, the next week in Frankfurt. All of these things, change is good.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm quite surprised, sometimes as you do, you have some notification on LinkedIn, all right? And one of the notification that irritate me is when I see the 13 work anniversary, 20, congratulate X for 20 years anniversary in the same company. Gosh, come on. That's for me. Oh, the worst notification I can get from LinkedIn.
But you,
That's not
but
me. I respect, the choice of everyone, which is
yeah,
great. And they always bring an added value, but it's not me.
yeah, but when you think of that, the first thing I think about, if I were to talk to that person online and have a cup of coffee offline, for the most part, they may be miserable. They're just going through the steps.
Yeah,
You're coming in, you're doing the same thing you've been doing for the last 12
20.
years,
Yeah.
20 years, or whatever it is. And it's just the same thing. But is the fulfillment coming from that?
No. We had an interesting exercise with IMD in Silicon Valley, and that was in Stanford University. It was one of the best exercises I have done. And then they put like a barometer from 5 to 10, and many of the leaders that were with us were really brilliant leaders, very charismatic, very, smart, generous. However, they ask us a question: what is your status today? Do you prefer to be in 10, in 9, in your fulfillment as a leader? And I was quite surprised that many of them choose to be in the safe area,
Yeah.
in the certainty area, in the 5, 2, and so on. And only, I think, few of us, 4 or 5, were in the 9 and 10. And then the question came, where the debate: why are you in, choosing this certainty zone or comfort zone? And I said, that's me. That's how I see it. After
Yeah.
many years of experience, I would love to have a work-life balance, to enjoy my life, not to be stressed, and so on and so forth. So it depends on the perception of everyone. But it was quite interesting to see that, you know, inside out, I would say, oh, those are amazing leader, resilient, risk taker, and so on and so forth. But it's completely different.
I saw a meme online the other week, and it was just powerful. It said some people die in their late 20s and they're not buried until 70 plus. So you know how you see something, you say, "Whoa, let me think about that." I know a lot of folk that are like that. It's just waiting to lay you out and do what they got to do, and they put you someplace. In doing that. So how would you, if you had a conversation with your younger self, would there be anything different that you would change from that?
Um, yes and no.
Okay.
So I would change one thing. I was very much dedicated, or 200% dedicated to my job.
Okay.
Means my 200% was fully on the task, on the team, on the client, and so on and so forth. And after that, I discovered that it's not the smart way to do it.
Yeah.
The smart way was first to build a support system. The network was critical and very important, because many of us thinks that networking is just, having a
Yeah.
glass of wine or coffee or being in a seminar. It's not. It's another job.
Yeah.
and it's a part of your job. So I would have done this earlier, kind of
Mm,
100%, and and the building a strong support system and networking was a part that I didn't look at in the beginning of my career. I was wrong, so I will do this differently.
yeah. So one of the competencies, as it aligns to what you just said, was relationship management. So
Mhm.
people have mentors, mentees. I have a board. I call a board of directors. People I bounce things off of,
Mhm.
and they tell me it's the dumbest idea ever. That's a great idea, whatever it is. In doing that, so that relationship piece is important. That it not be transactional. That you build a network. Like you and I met a year and a half ago, I think, at the summit, and we still
Yeah,
kind of stay in touch. And then when I go to the other conference and I'm there, and I see you there
yeah,
again, this is how it works.
exactly.
Yes.
And building a trustworthy relationship is not just, as you mentioned, I love the word transactional. It's not that at all. It's really given before taken. It's give and grow for me
Mm,
concept. Give and grow concept means you give first to the relation that you are building, and not just hi, or I want this, or can you please help in this, or can you
yeah.
facilitate this. No, it's a relationship, it's
Yeah.
trustworthy, and it needs time to be built. Therefore, for me, it's another um, not job, but it's another task that needs really the great energy and the trust and confidence.
Yeah, I had someone. I'll give you a story around that. Someone that I had reached out to a couple of times and there was no response. So I just let it go. And then all of a sudden they reach out to me with this long dribble. So right away when I looked at the message, I said, "Okay, what do you want now?" And as I read through, they wanted me to do all these things, and I kind of I responded, but I gave them kind of a schooling as to why we should always connect. I said, if you go through the thread, 3 times I've reached out, nothing there. But now you want me to move mountains because maybe you need a job or you need a
Exactly.
reference of whatever it is. And I
No,
said, this is a learning point because you should not do this.
no.
And I will always be there for you. But, and another long drivel is apology. I said, it's okay. But
Hmm.
just remember that. I want to do a shout out to Shina Barton, who's always a listener, and she says change is good, give and grow. Love that about how you help people along because it always comes back in some way.
So give and grow for me, it's a life concept. It's something that is on me, and that can give me also the energy.
Mhm.
We are in a very, let's talk really transparently, that the work we are doing is very stressful sometimes. We are challenged. We need to be, everywhere, wearing different hats and so on and so forth. And for me, this generosity and giving, it nourished me as a person, and
Mhm.
it gives me also the mindfulness and the purpose. It's not just about a career, it's not just about a position, it's not just about sending to run a message to get a job or whatever, but it's seeing Ron growing as I do, giving, and seeing people shining, development of the people is really important, and
Mhm.
that nourished me as a person. And I remember when I left one of the companies moving to another one, one of the biggest highlights of my career was when one of my direct reports said, Ajar, when I will meet you outside, the world is so small, and I will be perhaps with my daughter, and I will tell her, this lady was not my boss. I learned with this lady.
Oh, wow.
That's for me was the biggest achievement I had,
Mhm.
because that's what gives you the sensation. It's not a salary only at the end of the day. It's how you are impacting people, and how you are, transforming also
Mm.
people,
Mm.
that they can explore themselves and grow as a team and as an individual.
Yeah. I look back on my career and I know people. that I worked with 20 years ago, and they were just coming in, and I was their boss. But we still keep in touch. We still send a note from time to time,
Yeah.
checking in on you, how are things going, and those kind of things. But
Mhm.
that's so I'll go back to what Shana was mentioning when she talked about you give and you grow,
Mhm.
because you're building a network of people, and hopefully, I my way of looking at it is that hopefully I want these people to transform their reports of people in their lives, career wise, in the same manner that you still always keep in touch. Just a short note, say, hey, congratulations, I saw this, or whatever it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a part of how you grow and how you let the community grow also. And giving this time, I always say there is always a before, in, and after.
Yeah.
And many of the people think that this relationship management is just, a sprint. I meet him, I got the number, I got the email, and I will reach out when I need to.
Yeah.
All right.
Check.
Or when I have a need. Done, tack. No,
Yeah.
it's a before where you meet this person, where there is, something in common together that you can work on. The in where get more information, be curious about the other person, or other individual,
Mm, mm,
who you are, what are you doing. I was impressed when I saw you run 1.5 years ago. Wow, the way you are leading this seminar was just impressive with the energy. It was like a powerhouse. So I wanted to know more about you and what you are doing. And then we met again, and then we still in contact via LinkedIn and so on. And then there is the after. After is learning together and act together. How we can learn and act to improve our common area. For example, we have a leadership.
right.
As a common, how we can learn from each other, how we can support the career of each other, and so on and so forth. It's not
Mm,
just a momentum or a sprint.
yeah.
It's a journey.
You mentioned the Future Innovation Summit. I think that was the summit. And for the people that don't know, Dubai is really a small city, and there's
Yeah,
conferences going on. There could be 5 or 6 conferences every day. But
yeah.
one of the things you'll notice is that key leaders that are perceived as key leaders will be speaking here. Next month, they may be speaking here. So it's kind of a network of speakers that you run into. And
Exactly.
one of the key things that I love about, not so much about speaking, but being the master of ceremonies, because you get a chance to meet everybody, interacting and questions and all those things. It's kind of like the maestro.
It
But again,
is.
that's developing what I said, and you said the impact that had on you. So thank you so much for that compliment. That means a lot. That
Pleasure.
means a lot coming from you. Let's talk about, you make it sound so easy as to how you started here. I did this. I knew I didn't want to do this. Walk us through a challenge you face, and you were like, what do I do now? And you were able to choose a direction, whichever it would be, and you were able to overcome that.
Mm, a very great question. So challenges, I mean, in my field or in the position, different position that I had, we always have many. But one that was a wake-up call for me, and it's a very emotional one.
Mm.
But I will share it with you and the
Okay,
audience.
cool. I love to hear that, because that's coming from here. You can't.
Yeah, yeah. It's a game changer in my career. So when I moved from Canada to Switzerland, I joined the company, and I was really excited about this journey, really motivated to grow, and so on and so forth. And at that time, I was not very fit in the Swiss German or the German, okay, but I did my best. I was like, here we go, we need to learn, and so on and so forth. And then after 1 year of hard work, there is it was an open position
Hmm.
in the marketing department, so head of marketing. And then I applied for it. And I was really motivated about, and I did great in the interview. Everything was perfect. 2 interviews, and the last one was the feedback. Okay, and I had it with the HR partner at that time. And she said, Hajar, you are so smart, your skills, you even learned Swiss German, which is, impressive in 6 months, and so on and so forth. However, we have
However,
a problem.
it's either however or but. What? You know what? Go ahead.
You know what? We have a problem. And the problem for me was, oh, okay, a problem. And then she said, how we will put your name in our customer letter, knowing that we are a Swiss company.
That disappointing.
Yeah. And, that was the first time where I was, we talk about diversity, women, and so on and so forth. But for me, it was more than that. It was, discrimination.
Yeah.
And I never had to deal with such, because I was always under the hat of the diplomatic field. I never felt that. And at this moment, I was really hurt. So you said, coming to your point, which way you're going to choose? So I asked for 5 minutes and I went to the bedroom and I was crying because it hurts me. But then I said, I have two choices. Either I will put my resignation and say, you discriminate me, blah, 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 or I will do the other option. And I get back to the room and I said, thank you for the problem, because it was everything expect a feedback. And you will see my name everywhere except in your customer letter. I promise. And
Nice.
she was like, uh-oh, shocked by the answer. And why it's a game changer? Because at that moment, for me, it's not more about the position, the career I want to grow. It's bigger than that.
Mm.
And I have a very important reason why I need to set now goals and I need to run for those goals and I need to fight for those goals. Not for me, but that to avoid that every single person or individual will not have such a moment like I had.
Mm. Wow.
And then I fight it back. After 3 years, I've been leading more than 1,000 people in the same company. I've been the board member, and I was hiring a global account manager for a multinational, one of our clients. And guess what? Who is the HR partner? The same lady. And
But
then I
those
told my
are
assistant, yeah, and that was for me the momentum, the achievement. All right, it's not that I get to the board, it's not that I'm leading more than 1,000 people, it's not that I grew up and so on, but it was this momentum. And I told to my assistant, can you please change the room and ask her to join me in the cafeteria? And I offered her a coffee and I told her, look, X, you are amazing, a brilliant HR, da 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 da. However, I need an inclusive HR partner to go through the interviews with me. So therefore, I asked David to change the HR. Thank you so much. And I hope if you Google me now, you will see my name everywhere, expect in your customer letter.
Oh, I always tell people, listen, oh, I was this job I really wanted, really, really wanted it. And I just got the letter and I'm just devastated. I said, you know what? Take the letter, print it out,
Mhm.
keep it in a file, and look at it this way. I'll show you. And that has always, I can go back to my office in New York, my in my house, and look at, I have a file folder for every job that I applied for and wasn't accepted. Why? I
Mhm.
don't need it now, but that was always my motivation. On those days I wasn't feeling it, and I'd read through it, and I said, you know what? I'm going to show each one of you. And it just so happened that one job that I really, really wanted, they chose someone else. I transitioned. I'm in Dubai. I'm traveling all over the world, and this person sends me a note. Oh my God, I would love to have this kind of career. Ron, can we set up a call? I said, I'm like you in the cafeteria. I said, well, let's do the call. But I wanted to tell you exactly what it meant for me and how you were able to get propelled me to this job because you denied me, and I thought I would. But here's what I'm doing now, and And by the way, nah, can't do anything but that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need
So
that was a game changer for me. And
yes.
yeah, it helps me a lot. She was sometimes you face a huge challenge, but that's the kickoff of your journey.
Yeah.
And she did the kickoff of my career. So thanks to her.
Oh, thanks to her. Thank you wherever you are in the world. Hey, I'm over here. Thank you for that. So, how would you describe your leadership style? How do you managing a team of 1,000? I know it's not a direct one-to-one, but whatever subset of that. How do you? What is your leadership philosophy in managing people? Because, and the reason I ask that because you've gone through so many situations. You said, "No, I want to do this. I want to do this. 2 to 3 years, 5 years. I want to change. I want people to be hungry."
Yeah.
What is your leadership style?
I lead with excellence. So for me, we need to not perfection, but excellence
Okay.
to deliver the highest quality, the highest level of what we can achieve. Because I think this emotional intelligence, putting teams together, need to come up to the excellence side of it. Otherwise, I didn't get the best of the people, neither the best of myself. So excellence. The second one is confidence. To deal with challenging time, with change, with transformation, with a war of talent, with competition, with peers, being the only woman in board and so on. You need to have enough confidence to lead this. And the third one for me is humility. This is a critical one because in our field or in any field, you need to be curious enough. So I always ask myself, what did you learn last month, Hajar? And ask also my team. I mean, we are not doing a meeting to do a meeting, just to have an agenda and minutes of meeting. But what did we learn from each other? That's the check out that we do. Check in. How are you? Everything is okay. But check out. Did we learn something from this hour today, being together? I mean, it's not just giving guidance to them and decisions and so on. But what did learn from each other? It's important. So having this humility to learn from your team, having this humility also to say, I did a mistake, how we can improve. And this is having the humility also to have this emotions sometimes, because they are needed in the workplace. We tell always digital, and I call it fee digital. There is no digital without people. Putting people in the center of everything we do, it's critical. Is our most important intangible asset. We have all the same, value proposition in the technology platforms, cloud, infrastructure, networking, and so on and so forth. Sustainability, we are all the same. So it's important to have the key differentiator, and those are our talent and our people. And therefore, you have the humility, enough humility to lead those brilliant people and make them grow, make them think, make them learn and act also.
That's so powerful. That's a mass. That's a keynote right there. That's a keynote. That's a keynote. If the audience is leaders, and here's why I say that, because you can't read anything to that. Well, you can read, but I'm saying when you read leadership articles and organizational articles, everybody's talking about the digital transformation, AI, and all those things. You know what? But all that's interconnected through people. You have to connect with people to guide them through change. So it's not like AI is going to come over and take over everything, because people are going to be the implementers of all of this process.
All that, yeah.
All of it. That's going to be the nexus, the center of everything.
Therefore, it's fee digital. People forget sometimes, and many of the companies actually, unfortunately, or let's say manager, not leader, they go through the process. We have to execute the strategy, but they lost the people in the middle.
Lost the people. They lost the people.
And the people are the center of how you manage the change of your process and how you execute your strategy. And that's why many of the companies are suffering today from not executing correctly the transformation, because you don't put the people
I
in the center.
I could add some music to that because
Yeah,
that's
it's,
funny.
you know, I love the wording, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
There
And I
we
would
go.
say culture will eat strategy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you
Yes.
don't have the right
You-
mindset, the right culture, and the
yeah,
right people, you will
yeah,
lose.
you will lose.
Mm.
You mentioned continuous learning. One of the things when I'm speaking to HR people, I'll ask them, what are you reading? And they said, I don't, I said, when I leave work, I don't even do anything else beyond that. And I said, well, think about where you headed, because you're going to have to come out of there and do something.
Mm.
And so you talk about travel. I'm traveling on Tuesday, I think it is, and I'm headed to Brussels. I already have all of my reading material. Everything is here. Then I have to read.
Oh,
And I do that not so much because I'm a bookworm, but I want to know what's going on outside. Because if I'm advising organizations, I have to see what McKinsey is saying. I have to see what MIT Sloan is saying.
yeah,
Yes.
so often. And that's one of the questions that I ask in every interview. What did you read in the last month? What did you learn in the last 3 months? Even if it's, I mean, learn to drive a bike or whatever, but you are curious or not. You have this learning agility or not. Because Fortune 500 said that since 2017, 40% of the skills are not relevant anymore.
That's right.
I can hire the person, but the skills, perhaps in 6 months, we don't need them. Are you
Right.
curious enough and agile enough to learn,
Mhm.
what is going on around you?
Yeah.
And the biggest issue or the biggest problem today is, like, for example, consulting firm. Um, when we see consulting firm, they are consulting in a domain, in technology, in AI, metaverse, and. But having this foresight between industry expertise and
Yes.
domain expertise,
Mm.
it's critical. So
Mm.
having also the talent that are curious enough to learn about the industry and
Wow.
to match the skills together to deliver an end-to-end journey to the client and deliver the key differentiator to the company is the
You,
key.
you, you sound so much like me because I talk about that
Yeah.
same. I talk about that same. I talk about that same journey. Is trying to figure out if your job is here today.
Mhm.
Your strategy should be, how is that going to look in the next 3 to 5 years? And if I want to stay here, what is the gap or the bridge that I have to build to get to the other side? Because what I'm doing now, for the most part, possibly could become obsolete. So you're the CEO of you.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one other question I wanted to follow up on. If you look back on your career and how you started, and your family said one thing, you tried another thing, you realized the 15 years on a watch wasn't going to get it. What are you most proud of achieving?
That's one of the great questions. Um, Most proud of is when I meet my teams, or and they said, that's
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest achievement. And when I saw them also growing and getting to where they deserve to be, that's one. Second, um, is the part which is leading with purpose. Means the end goal is not always a position or career, is how I bring an added value to the community
Hmm.
and being a part of your community, not an organization, not a company, but
Yeah.
being a part of community of leaders that are really impacting. The third proudest achievement is to be a role model.
Okay.
When I go to school and share with small girls, and that they don't have them, still lost, very lost with the career. I want to be a teacher. I want to be, a nurse. I want to be a doctor. And you tell her you can be a leader, and
Raise
and
it up, raise it up a bit.
exactly. When I'm in the American university, one of the students told me, "So I can work in Switzerland. I can be a leader in Switzerland." Come on, yeah. And that's for me the reason why it's not just about a job or achieving a goal or a strategy or growth. It's also, and that's what I will ask every leader. You are so brilliant. You are so impactful. Be a role model, because the new generation need more and more role models.
Mhm.
That you cannot be what you cannot see.
Yeah.
So show up as a leader and share your journey, impact the new generation. That's the most important thing.
I always talk about how you never know who's watching.
Yeah.
You never know who hear you give a keynote and there's a phrase you used that they're thinking about it when they leave. And you
Mm-hmm.
may see it later in life, or you get an email later and says, "Oh my God, you're,"
Yeah.
and they mention that nugget. So
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people, and that you brought all of this out today was the fact that someone is always watching the way that you handle things, the way that you interact with people.
Mm-hmm.
So you consistently being looked at as that leadership role model, and are you showing the levels of leadership? Is it cascading down the way that you would want to? In other words, your brand
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
and driving that.
Yeah. So, that's sometimes, as you mentioned, also a sentence can influence, you
Yeah.
know. Um, I was really fortunate to have also many leaders around me that gives me this. I'm not who I am without those who I learned from, who I listen to also, and that's the real learning and real impact. It's not what you learn in school. It's really learning from day out experience, and I
Mhm.
think those leaders who impacted me the most, who influenced me the most, or were those who, with one word, they changed something on me, or
Yes.
a goal, or they make a difference in my journey, and I think I remember them for a
Yeah.
long time.
Amazing, amazing. You know what? One of the reasons we started the CEO series because we wanted to bring in leaders, because lots of times with social media has kind of given people a vision that you only see what's up top, that you did not see from starting point to the so-called finish line. And what
Mhm.
you shared was that story that you told about getting feedback, and the lady said, "I don't know whether I'm going to put you on the website because of your name, and you're now in Switzerland, and all this." I will remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So I'm saying that to say you brought out the full mission of what the CEO series is about. So as we begin to close out, is there any messages or takeaways that you'd like to give to the audience?
Yes. I'm writing a book actually.
That means another guest spot to talk about the book.
It's about taking vitamins, but it's not a normal vitamins. It's a vitamins that I've got by experience.
Okay.
So I will share to the audience, or to the lovely people that are hearing us, to take vitamin D is to dare to get out of the comfort zone, and dare to learn, to explore, and to do discovery expeditions sometimes. To take vitamin N is sometimes to learn to say no
Hmm.
to things. And vitamin S is for me also very important, is to build a strong support system. We cannot do it individually. We need to be a part of a community and have a strong support system of people that we love and we appreciate and we learn from, and that can also advise us. I learned that I cannot change people, but at the same time, I can't change people.
Mm-hmm. I
You
got
know,
it.
you got it.
I got
So changing people that are surrounding you, bringing negativity to you, just, nah. No,
Yeah.
build a community that is playing to win, not
Yeah.
playing not to lose.
Mm-hmm. The drain of, sometimes you talk to people whew, and you almost
Yeah,
need to take
yeah,
you finish with them because it
yeah,
just took everything you had.
exactly. That will bring the adrenaline to your life. So take
Uh,
those 3 vitamins and enjoy what you are doing. If you're not enjoying, just leave it.
yeah. So
And
John Self says another interview,
yeah,
for,
and play
and
to win.
and thank you for that. Another person I want to do a shout out to is my good buddy in Washington D.C., who's a big shot attorney in Washington, Jim Moy, who was my neighbor in Saudi Arabia. We lived next door to
Oh,
each other. Yeah, we work for the same company, so we have a global audience. Is what
oh
we're
yeah.
yeah what we're trying to say. I'm going to keep a lookout on the book and let
Mhm.
us know when it's out there because we want to promote it here on the show.
Lovely.
Uh,
Thank you.
so that's all cool. For people that are listening in, be sure and like, subscribe, and
Yeah.
set an alert on YouTube so that every time I show every Friday, uh, 9 a.m. U.S. time, 5 or 6 p.m., depending upon when time change in Dubai, every Friday. If it's Friday, it is the CEO series. So with that, I want to thank you. If you could hold on for a minute as we close out, and we'll talk to everyone. See you all next Friday.
Take the CEO series with you anywhere, anytime. All episodes are now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and major streaming platforms. It's not just an interview. It's a masterclass in leadership.